Randolph Teddy Murray. Louder? Okay. The journey of Elmer Randolph Teddy Murray. According to historical accounts, it was a warm December when Elmer Randolph Murray, known as Teddy, entered this world on December 27th, 1939. Mama Hazel and his sisters Shirley, Christine, Dorothy, and cousin Barbara Jean were excited to have a boy join the family. They called him Teddy because he resembled a teddy bear with his sandy curls. Teddy grew up in West Baltimore, where he met and developed a lifelong friendship with Alfred Dingy Bellamy. When Teddy was in the 6th grade, his teacher gifted him a membership to the Druid Hill YMCA, which forever changed his life. At the Y, Teddy met role models and learned to swim. Over the years, Teddy not only became an excellent swimmer, he taught many others to swim as well. Teddy swam his way through Frederick Douglass High School, setting records and helping others to reach their swimming goals. After graduating from Douglass in 1958, Teddy went on to Tennessee State on a swimming scholarship. The school was too far from Baltimore for Teddy, so he transferred to Morgan State College, where he completed his studies and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in physical education in 1964. He began his professional career in Baltimore City Public Schools as a physical education teacher at School 18. And I have to shout out, that was my elementary school, and he was my 4th, 5th, and 6th grade gym teacher.
All right.
All the girls loved him. While teaching at School 60, Teddy met a whippersnapper he couldn't take his eyes off of. Teddy and Mabel were married in 1967. The Murrays would have celebrated 58 years of marriage on December 15th, 2025. We'll be right there with you, Mabel. Teddy did a lot of things. He stayed active in professional activities. He was always in school teaching and leading, learning and studying. He was a member of Alpha Phi Omega Service Fraternity, Phi Delta Kappa, and he was most proud of his initiation into Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated through the Columbia, Maryland Alumni Chapter, spring 1979. Kappa Alpha Psi became his model. He founded the West Baltimore Aquatic Club, where he recruited and trained many students. Through these programs, he also developed night swimming lessons for youngsters and adults. Many of those swimmers were awarded college scholarships to schools in Georgia, Tennessee, and of course, dear Morgan. Teddy created many fond memories for others at the Cherry Hill Pool, where he worked for over 30 years as a lifeguard and pool manager. Under his leadership, the pool became known for its discipline, safety, and excellence in training. Beyond ensuring that the pool was a place of recreation and safety, Teddy was committed to the broader well-being of his staff. While working at the pool and teaching physical education, Teddy earned a Master's of Science degree in 1977 and his advanced certificate in 1979, both at Johns Hopkins University. Teddy was full of life and was the best friend a person could have. Teddy dedicated his life to his family, friends, and children of Baltimore. He is survived by his wife, Mabel, 2 children, Sarita and Mark, wife, Linda, grandchildren, Amanda, husband, Mustafa, Alexandra, David, Rachel, Ray, and great-grandchildren, Grace, Ava, Nyla, and MJ, who has Teddy's sandy curls. Sisters-in-law, Jeanette, husband Victor, Iantha, Cheryl, husband Danny, many nieces and nephews, other relatives and good friends. Granddaughter Sharp preceded Teddy in death. Rest easy, Teddy.
Thank you so much. At this time, we are going to have some reflections, first by the Cherry Hill Pool Group. I believe Mr. Owen Dutton will be representing them, and then Janet Dates, and then someone representing Recreation in Parks.
Good evening. Good evening. It gives me great pleasure to pay respect to Teddy Murray, affectionately called Coach Zola. I also represent the West Baltimore Aquatic and the Cherry Hill Lifeguards and the locker room attendants. It all began, Douglas High School had evening swim. The word got out, the gang went swimming. There we met Coach Teddy. He taught us every stroke. He even put up a screen with a projector to show us how to swim properly. Coach Teddy started the swim club called West Baltimore Aquatics Club. We got our membership. He even got us AAU cards. Wow. That allowed us to compete against some of the best swimmers. Coach Teddy provided us with swimming gear and most of all, confidence to win. The next thing Teddy did was get us jobs as lifeguards and locker room attendants at the Cherry Hill Pool. The pay was great and we got paid every week. Coach Teddy always inspired us to be the best in everything we set out to accomplish. Rest in peace. Thanks for all, Coach Teddy.
Way to go, O. Way to go, O. Yes, sir.
We have Janet Dates here. If not, we have some.
She's coming. She's coming. Boots on the ground. No problem. Go ahead, Teddy. No problem. You know we gonna get them. No question. No, that's right. South Coast.
On behalf of the family, I want to say a few words about Elmer Teddy Murray. Theodore Elmer Murray. Teddy was one of a kind. He was one of a kind. Everybody here recognizes what I mean when I say that. Because we all know that Teddy had his own style of living. For example, when we would go to his house and greet him warmly saying, "Hey, Teddy, what's up?" He would say, "My pants." And keep right on moving. His own style. Now, Teddy was not a perfect person, but who is among this group? We sometimes told him, for example, that he needed to work on his attitude about something. His response was that his attitude was fine, thank you very much. Somebody else might need to have some help. And then he would laugh and laugh and laugh and keep on going. More significantly, he would move right along so he could do what he thought was best to help his wife, my sister Mabel, and the kids and the grandkids and the great-grandkids and the great-great-grandkids and on and on and on. So no matter what they needed, or sometimes wanted, tried to help them get it. And no matter how smart alecky he was with them, Mabel and the children, he was there working hard to deliver. Teddy worked to set a good example for children. His daughter, son, nieces, nephews, and the grandkids, students at Morgan, and others especially, the young men who sought to and became, in many instances, members of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. Of course, we know it's his fraternity. We know in this life that there are courageous men who keep going to work every day so they can consistently pay their bills. Teddy was one of those. He was one of those guys who did that and more. By his presence and his attitude, he was one of those good guys. There are strong men who show up as a steady force, who by their presence help to bring what is needed to the family, not just in clothing and food, but also ideas about life and living. Providing those things is vital, Teddy said. And he worked hard to try to provide them. Even though he agreed that he sometimes missed his mark. Teddy was one of those good guys. In our family, we recognize that there are men who earn their places in the good guy category by their hard work, by their good deeds, and their consistency and perseverance. And we believe that in his life, Teddy Murray rightfully earned his place as one of our good guys. We miss Teddy. One of our good guys. Thank you.
If we do have someone here representing Recreation and Park, they may feel free to come forward. If not, we're going to have the line men of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so first I would like to give my condolences to the family. You all are in my prayers and will continue to be in my prayers. Ms. Mabel, you know I'm always available anytime you call. Ted and I started working full-time for Rec and Parks in 2004. But I wouldn't come to know him until I was moved to Liberty Road in June of 2018 as the community supervisor for the area. He had previously worked under the direction of Chet Jones, Lenny Camper, and Paul Edwards under the Liberty Road community. Coming into a new community for me is always very stressful. We usually have a 2-week training period before you, after you transition, and then it kind of just leave you to figure it out. But I'm very thankful that Ted was there. And Ted knew everything about Liberty Road. He made sure he showed me everything and introduced me to all the county staff, volunteers, and the BCPS staff. Ted soon became my right hand and assisted me with running the community for 7 years. I only recall Ted taking less than a handful of times off from work while he worked under my supervision. I actually had to make him use his leave to go to Paris because he tried to make every excuse not to go. Ted never took off or called in sick, no matter what was going on. He often covered the office when I was off. He opened up gyms and parks and covered for staff if they needed off or was running late. He would even pick staff up. If the cars broke down or whatever, he would go pick them up. Ted took care of it no matter what it was. Anytime he came to the office, we were sure to talk for about 30 to 45 minutes about whatever was in his head. He always had me laughing about something he would say. Ted was an asset to the Liberty Road community And we will truly miss him in the department. Our part-time staff and our volunteers will also miss him. And I would like to thank Ms. Mabel for sharing her husband with me. Because many times, I don't think she wanted him to go. But he always came, no matter what I needed. He always came for those 20 years that I worked, and I know he did the same with my coworkers. He always made himself available. And he just sitting in my office, things have came up recently, and I'm like, oh man, Ted's not here. Because he was my go-to guy. So I will miss him. I didn't want to say anything because I'm holding back my tears. But again, Miss Mabel, call me for anything that you need. All right.
We're going to invite the Kappa linemen to come up at this time. Let's receive them.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry, if you knew Teddy, you knew he would be a little more verbose. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Columbia, Maryland Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi, we bring you greetings. My name is Tom Tucker, and I'm the pole marker of the chapter. How many of you have ever met a friend that became family?
Yes.
How many of you have met a friend that became family, that became closer than blood family? That's who Teddy was. Sometimes in life, friendships exceed the closeness of blood families. And sometimes in life, friends become family and those bonds can never be broken. Teddy was initiated in the Columbia, Maryland Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. And I often asked some of his line brothers and members of the chapter, well, if he was initiated in Columbia, why did he spend so much time in Baltimore? Now, I'm a little bit, I'll be very honest, I'm a little bit prejudicial because I was born and raised in Columbia. But it's a question that has perplexed me for some time. But I found the answer. And it's actually a very simple answer. He was where he could make the greatest impact, where he could make a difference. He touched lives. He changed the course of people's life. He was a real man. But Brother Teddy was also like a tree. Deep, solid, but with deep connections that touch so many people. But I want to close with a question that I want to ask the body here, not to the family. And it's a simple question. Tell me Teddy was a good man without telling me he was a good man. Thank you. The applause was come a little later, but thank you. Let me say it one more time. Tell me Teddy was a good man without telling me he was a good man. And so I had to go into my library, the ledgers of my library. I had to go deep to find out what made him him. What made him a significant presence that would bring all of you out on a rainy Saturday down 695 through the city to celebrate his life? And I found the answer. Let me share it with you. I had to actually go to the Bible. It's in the New Testament chapter of Luke 6:43 and 45. For a good man bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doth a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by its fruit. If you knew Teddy, his greatest impact what he loved the most was his family. But the second greatest impact was the lives of all the people that he impacted. That is what we call a good man with deep roots and good fruit. Thank you so much.
And everyone, hi there, I'm Teddy's line brother. My name is Sheldon Mitchell. I was also the president of the line, and he was the vice president. I'm deeply moved to be here today when his widow, Dr. Mabel Murray, and his daughter-in-law, Patrice, and son called me and told me we had lost him. That was such a kick in the gut when I heard that, because I thought he'd live forever, quite frankly. Everyone has taken all the accolades you can bestow upon him today. So I had to check them all off so I wouldn't repeat. But I will start like this. Teddy, for me, was not only a fraternity brother, but he was family. And I'll tell you how he adopted me. He took me home to 3 Kittredge Court on many occasions. We sat in the kitchen. And as I met everyone in the family, there was a furry little animal there, Pebbles Murray, that I also met. That really let me know I was his family. And that's how it was with Teddy all the time. His sister-in-law Jan said he was one of a kind. She's right. He's one of the few people you will ever meet that lived the life he wanted to live. Even though I was not living here, we talked often and sporadically. And his good friend Denny, who was mentioned earlier, can tell you, if you look back in the annals of Teddy's life, he wanted to graduate from Douglas High, be a swimmer, and teach in the public schools of Baltimore. He was Baltimore through and through. That's the real answer. And for him to leave the city limits of Baltimore City and County, oh man. Now that's something that was an odyssey for him to do. Also being family, he included me and later my wife in everything, Valerie was here, that went on with them. When Mabel Murray became Dr. Mabel Murray, we trekked to my wife's alma mater, Virginia Tech, for her to get her doctorate degree. That's family. Through the night, to get there the next morning. If anyone knows where Blocksburg, Virginia is, and driving through a shortcut to go through Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, to get there for that next morning, to be in that stadium, that's incredible. That's family, that's my fraternity brother. And this is the way you talk about someone who's one of a kind, and dare I say a good man without saying it. These are the type of things that you know about him. I can go on and say, not only graduating from Douglas was his dream, he also loved, and it's been mentioned, managing Cherry Hill Pool. Now earlier, one of his students mentioned the people he taught to swim that went on to get scholarships. She said the school in Georgia, and that school was Albany State University and HBCU, that until they gave up swimming, they got in their last year there to win the HBCU swimming championship, which is hard to take because in the SIAC, my alma mater dominated the sport until Teddy sent some young man from Baltimore.
We did.
That's the way it worked out. Because we dominated at the house for countless years. I could go on some more, and I know a lot of people can. But thank you, Teddy, for being in my life, not only as a fraternity brother, but as my family, my family, my family. And thank you, Dr. Mabel Murray, for adopting me. When he brought me to your home, 3 Kittredge Court, and on many occasions I came back on the 23rd, which was my birthday in December, and there was something going on at the house that still sticks with me, caroling. You don't hear that happen too many times in any neighborhood, caroling. So thank you all, please, thank you, and try to breathe, family, try to breathe. And don't be afraid to grieve, because like Jesus Christ, who loved Lazarus and his wife at the time, and they were so close, and is written in John, don't be afraid to grieve. Don't be afraid to grieve. And take a deep, deep breath. We'll get to hang out with the bear again in a better day. Take care, everyone. And again, thank you, family, for calling me and asking me to be here. The only thing better would have been to have everybody here next door in the gallery with